Every day, two people receive paychecks, they earn identical amounts. 20 years later, one owns a portfolio of income-generating properties and dividend-paying stocks worth millions. The other still works for a paycheck, trapped in a cycle of payments that never end. The difference isn't intelligence or luck. The difference is one fundamental principle: the wealthy focus on acquiring assets, while the middle class and the poor often accumulate liabilities. Understanding this single distinction is the foundation of all wealth building. Today, you'll discover exactly why the rich buy assets while everyone else buys liabilities, and how this difference creates generations of wealth or generations of struggle. The definition that changes everything. The first step is understanding what assets and liabilities actually are. An asset is something that puts money in your pocket, while a liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. This definition seems almost too simple until you realize how many people have it backwards. The direction of cash flow determines if something is an asset or a liability at that moment. Most people mistake their largest purchases for assets when they're actually liabilities. Many people buy a house and consider it an asset, but if the house does not generate income, it is actually a liability due to maintenance, property taxes, and mortgage payments. Millions of people live their entire lives believing their family home is their greatest asset, when it's actually systematically draining their wealth. The wealthy focus on building their assets first, then use the income those assets generate to purchase their liabilities. This is the inverse of what ordinary people do. The old money people, the long-term rich, build their asset column first. Then the income generated from the asset column buys their luxuries. The poor and middle class buy luxuries with their own sweat, blood, and children's inheritance. Warren Buffett understands this principle perfectly. Buffett has lived in the same house since 1958, which he purchased for $31,500. While it is now valued at around $1.5 million, Buffett said that buying a house is usually a lousy investment, since overlooked costs such as mortgage interest, property taxes, and homeowners insurance eat into returns. Even though his house appreciated, he recognizes it for what it is: a liability that consumes cash flow. He didn't use that liability to trap his wealth. He used assets to create the freedom to live modestly. The asset classes that build wealth. The second principle is knowing which assets actually create wealth. Real assets include rental properties that generate monthly rental income, providing a steady cash flow while potentially appreciating in value over time. Stocks and dividends that pay regular dividends and may increase in value. Intellectual property like books and patents that generate royalties. And businesses that don't require your presence, where you own them but they're managed by other people. These are the assets the wealthy accumulate. The rich invest their money in assets that put more money in their pockets, such as real estate, stocks, bonds, notes, and intellectual property. Notice what's missing from this list. Cars, clothes, jewelry, vacations, and luxury items never appear. Luxury items like cars and designer goods are often seen as symbols of wealth, but they lose value over time and do not contribute to financial growth. The wealthy understand this and refuse to mistake status symbols for wealth. The catastrophic mistake everyone makes. The third principle explains why so many high-income earners remain broke. Mike Tyson earned over $400 million in his boxing career. Yet by 2003, he declared bankruptcy with debts of $23 million. His expenditures included multiple palatial mansions, a fleet of high-end cars, diamond-encrusted jewelry, and exotic Bengal tigers with their own dedicated trainer. Here was a man earning astronomical sums, destroying himself through liabilities. Nicolas Cage famously squandered his $150 million fortune on extravagant purchases, including castles, luxury cars, and rare artifacts. Poor financial management eventually led to bankruptcy. The MC Hammer earned an estimated $33 million in 1990 but filed for bankruptcy in 1996. He built a custom mansion with 2 swimming pools, a 9-car garage, and 4 dishwashers, and maintained an exorbitant 200-person staff and entourage, with staggering recurring costs that proved unsustainable. The pattern repeats endlessly because income disguises itself as wealth. T-Pain once had $40 million in the bank, but bad real estate investments and poor spending decisions, like buying a Bugatti and returning it 5 months later for $400,000 less than he paid, left him broke. "I had to borrow money to get my kids Burger King," he said. This illustrates the catastrophic gap between income and wealth. Having $40 million and being broke simultaneously is only possible through the systematic purchase of liabilities. The income trap that catches everyone. The fourth principle explains why most people never escape this pattern. It's not about how much money you make. It's how much money you keep. Most people judge themselves by income while the wealthy judge themselves by wealth. Income is easily visible and impressive. Wealth is invisible, but what actually matters? A person earning $500,000 annually while spending $510,000 is moving toward poverty. A person earning $50,000 while spending $30,000 is moving toward wealth. The numbers tell the entire story. By shifting your mindset from, "I can't afford this," to "How can I afford this?" you can literally change your life. The liabilities you want can actually make you richer as you get creative with finding ways to afford them by creating or investing in cash-flowing assets. This is the mental shift that separates the wealthy from everyone else. They don't ask whether they can afford something. They ask how they can afford it through assets. Warren Buffett demonstrates this principle. When he wants a bigger house, he first buys the assets that will generate the cash flow to pay for the house. The passive income that creates freedom. The fifth principle is understanding passive income. People with a wealth-building mindset focus on accumulating assets that generate passive income. Those stuck in a consumer mindset often acquire liabilities, mistaking them for assets. Passive income is the ultimate goal because it's income that flows regardless of your effort. A rental property generates income whether you're sleeping or working. Dividend stocks pay whether you're on vacation or sick. A business managed by someone else produces profits while you focus on other things. Once you understand the difference between assets and liabilities, concentrate your efforts on buying income-generating assets. This shift removes you from the perpetual hamster wheel. Instead of working until you die, you work to acquire assets. Then the assets work for you. When your assets generate enough income to cover your expenses, you are wealthy, even if you are not yet rich. This is true financial freedom. The strategy that reverses everything. The final principle is the sequence that separates wealth from debt. Instead of taking your income and buying liabilities to enjoy after which your money dried up, take your income, buy assets that create more money, and then use that money to buy liabilities, after which the asset continues to generate income. This simple reversal is the entire wealth-building formula. Most people follow this sequence: earn money, buy liabilities, money disappears. The wealthy follow this sequence. Earn money, buy assets, assets generate income, use asset income to buy liabilities, assets continue generating income. The liabilities never drain the asset base because they're funded by asset returns. The reason people get into trouble financially or never get ahead in life is because they have liabilities that they have been led to believe are assets. This belief is reinforced constantly. Society celebrates people who drive expensive cars and own large homes. No one celebrates people with portfolio statements showing millions in dividend income. Yet the latter are genuinely wealthy while the former are genuinely struggling. The decision that determines your future. Understanding this distinction is free. Implementing it requires discipline. It requires resisting the culture that judges you by what you consume and embracing a culture that celebrates what you own that generates income. Buy assets, not liabilities. This simple rule has more power to determine your financial future than any complex investment strategy or income increase. Warren Buffett didn't become the world's wealthiest person by spending money on liabilities. He became wealthy by acquiring assets and allowing them to compound for 70 years. Bill Gates built his fortune the same way. They didn't accumulate through salaries. They accumulated through assets. The pathway to wealth is identical whether you earn $100,000 or $1 million. Focus on acquiring income, generating assets. Avoid mistaking liabilities for assets. Let the assets grow. That's the system that builds generational wealth, and it's available to anyone willing to implement it.